Daniels on standby.
And welcome in, everybody. We are live from, well, our new homes here in Indiana, Fort Wayne, Indiana, as we get ready for the championship game in Division III men's basketball. No matter what, by the end of the night, we will have a first-time champion. It'll either be a garnet-colored champ out of Swarthmore or a black and gold champ out of Oshkosh. Wisconsin WIAC champions of Oshkosh taking on the Centennial champs of Swarthmore. I'm Dave McHugh, joined by the crew here on Hoopsville Courtside Live, Ryan Scott, Bob Quillman, and Pat Coleman, as we get ready for the championship. Teams are warming up. Admittedly, they probably won't put on the same show the All-Stars just did in the 11th annual NABC Reese's All-Star Game in Division III, but they will put on a show nonetheless. And again, first-time champions. Real quick on the show, we will break down the game. We'll get some points of view from those who've seen the game so far, and we'll be announcing the All-Americas selections for D3Hoops.com. But first and foremost, gentlemen, let's back up a day. Get a real chance to kind of, after sitting on it, recap what ended up being two really outstanding semifinal games.
Yeah, I thought we had two really good games here last night. When you look at the Swarthmore-Christopher Newport game, it was a game that Swarthmore led most of the way, but Christopher Newport would never go away. Of course, you think about that Wheaton-Oshkosh game. I thought that was the game where Oshkosh clearly looked like the better team the whole way through on both ends of the floor. But both games last night, guys, were very competitive.
Yeah, they were. That Oshkosh game, you know, they start off with that real quick flurry. They make like their first three shots. They're up 8-0, 90 seconds in the game. And then Wheaton gets back into it, but that doesn't really last. You know, Aston Francis can't do the things that he was doing in the semifinal or in a lot of the regular season games. They were making him work for every bucket. They were making him score 2 at a time instead of 3 at a time, and that was a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, we saw great games last night, but Oshkosh was clearly, you know, the dominant one in there. And I think we saw a lot of people really surprised with what Swarthmore could do. Those of us from the East Coast kind of knew what they were, but I think the rest of the country really woke up to how good Swarthmore is.
But to that point, you and I have certainly seen plenty of Swarthmore, but even I went into that game going, okay, which Swarthmore am I going to see? The one that I have seen play really well and dominate teams, or am I going to see the one that gets a little maybe deer in the headlights to some degree, and how do they change? I was really impressed with what Garnet did last night.
Yeah, mostly because of the adversity. Christopher Newport
True.
has such a strong defense that didn't look like the Swarthmore team we're used to, but they were able to make the adjustments they needed. They hit the shots when they needed. It was a close game, but I think you could see an even better Garnet team tonight. And
Bob, you walked away from the Swarthmore, and you know Oshkosh just as well because they play a lot of the CCIW teams, but you walked away with a different appreciation for what Landry Kozmalski has put together there in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
No question. You know, you can watch web streams. I said this last night, and you could see a team. I've seen Swarthmore play a lot of games this year, but until you see them in person and how big they are and how versatile, how hard they are to match up with, that was my takeaway from all of last night, was how good the Garnet are. I mean, they are a complete team, and they have a great chance of winning this national championship.
Pat, Oshkosh was interesting because they had a battle there. Aston Francis took it to them in the first half, and they had to deal with Wheaton to some degree, but they got really comfortable in the second half, and it almost seemed like fun to them.
It did. I think, you know, we have a photo on our front page right now, actually, of Ben Boots just with a big reaction after a big moment.
Yeah.
He hit those 2 3-pointers during that 14-0 run early in the second half, and I think that's when I sensed the mood change, you know, where we were sitting, and I don't know if it was the same for the guys on the floor, but that was a big difference. So you see, you know, the guy, when you're a balanced team, right, and anybody can step up, that's cool, but you still have one guy, right? Ben Boots is that one guy, and when he gets going, then that just kind of makes everybody kind of relax and feel the pressure lift.
That team has 4 players in double figures. A 5th is at 9.1 coming into the weekend. They had 5 guys in double figures last night. Wheaton couldn't defensively slow them down. Wheaton couldn't play inside and cause them not to dominate at the post. They're not going to see that tonight with Swarthmore.
Be a much different matchup, I think, tonight. And, you know, Ryan, you've seen Swarthmore a lot, and you know that they have the size to defend Oshkosh that Wheaton last night just simply didn't have.
Right, and they're a much better defensive team all around. The one thing we're going to have to watch is what Swarthmore can do against those wings that Oshkosh has, Fravert and Connor Duax. Those are long, tall guys who can drive the hoop. Zach Odell can defend that, but he's one guy.
Right.
And it'll be interesting to see how they make switches and move around to just disrupt Oshkosh a little bit. That's what you heard from everybody who was watching last night. Wheaton just wasn't able to get them out of their game. And I think Swarthmore should be able to do that.
Interesting enough, you and I were talking about how Landry Kozmowski seemed to make the right moves at the right time, make adjustments, go to the inside game, get away from the outside game when he needed to. And John Krikorian admitted it seemed like Landry had figured out what buttons to push before John did. How much is this going to come down to which coach senses what's going on first and can adjust the fastest?
I mean, that's certainly going to be part of it. I really think with two teams that rely so much on outside shooting, it's really going to matter who gets in the groove at the right time.
Yeah.
Defense might come down to it at the end, but ultimately each team's got 4 good three-point shooters. You can't stop all of them.
Yeah, I would agree. I think these teams have played so many games at this point of the season. They know their rotation. This is almost the point where the coach kind of gets to step back a little bit and just let his guys play. We heard that a lot from Coach Lewis last night is, I just kind of let my guys do their thing. And I think we'll see that tonight. Of course, the coaches are going to be coaching their tails off out there, but look, we're deep into the season here. This is it. This is the final game. And there's not a lot of new stuff to introduce at this point.
Yeah, and this is the game, of course, where the timeouts get long, right? So you have to I think, avoid the temptation to overthink or overcoach. We see lots of teams do this where you let the coaches kind of huddle and they let the players huddle and talk for a while and the coaches huddle and talk for a while. In most cases tonight, the coach is going to be able to do that for about 90 seconds before they go in there. So I think it'd be interesting to see how, neither of these head coaches has head coached a national championship game before. Obviously, Matt Lewis was on the sidelines when Pat Yuckham coached him last year. For Kozmowski, this will be a little bit different, but he's a pretty cerebral guy. Lewis, we saw him be very emotional, very much a cheerleader. He said it that way in the post game last night. It'll be interesting to see how that contrast works itself out today.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, even getting back, we're staying in the same hotel as Oshkosh last night, and all their fans were taking over the lobby, and you saw the players down there. It wasn't like a party or anything, but they were hanging out, and I guarantee that's not how Swarthmore is approaching this game, and it'll be interesting to see. Not that one is right and one is wrong, but it's certainly two different approaches to the way they're coming into this.
Talked to one of the many Division III coaches who were at this event, and they said he was amazed. Swarthmore came off the floor. They were celebrating for about 10, 15 seconds, and it was, okay, 1, 2, 3, next. And it just switched, and the light, switched, literally went the other direction, and they were hyper-focused. I mean, granted, we're not in their hotel, so we're not sure what happened when they got back to the hotel, but certainly.
I mean, this is an interesting thing, right? We've already talked about how the fact that the east half of Division III, especially Mid-Atlantic region, East region of late, haven't had a ton of success. You automatically, as a general Division III fan and follower, maybe discount them a little bit because of that. The Centennial Conference hasn't played in a title game since 1991, and they've never won one.
Nope.
If this is an opportunity for them to bring a national championship back to the main line, that's pretty cool.
Back to the main line, yes.
But I think the way
I'm not gonna get to call the game today, so that's my.
That's to get that in. I think the way that Swarthmore is constructed, though, gives that league its best chance here, because typically, teams that come out of that conference a little smaller. When you look at how they're built. This team, I said it a lot of times last night, is if I saw Swarthmore and didn't know the name on the jersey, I would have thought it was a WIAC team or a NESCAC team or whatever.
Quick note: the NESCAC or the Centennial have 1, maybe 2 bigs. They've got 4.
Yeah,
big difference. We'll take a break. When we come back, Dale Wellman will join us. He kind of knows a thing or two about winning a national championship. He did it with Nebraska Wesleyan last year, and he's seen some of these teams this year in the tournament as well. We'll get his take on things. Brennan Gulick will join me. We called the games yesterday. I'd love to get his take one more time. And then we'll announce the All-America teams before finally getting you our keys to the game. That's all still ahead on the Hoopsville pregame show. You are watching the Hoopsville courtside pregame show. We are live from the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum. We'll be back with more from here and get you ready for the championship when we come back.
Football has taught me a lot throughout my life. It's definitely had a huge imprint on who I am as a person. Competing at a Division III level created that opportunity for me to go to college. Not only was I the first one in my family to graduate college, but I was really the first one to even go. Being the first one, I'm breaking that cycle, and now that I've graduated, I'm not sure what's the next step, but I know I have a lot of doors open. And a lot of those are open because I played football and ran track here at Otterbein.
My name is Marcus Walker. I was All-State, won a state championship, a high school All-American, and played college and pro ball. I played because I love the game. I grind to be the best. I sweat because I put in work. I'm strong because I believe. When I want to bring it before game time, I come to the house that college basketball built, the CBE. No matter your skill, take it to another level. Elevate your game right here at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center.
Being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball, or it's not just about school, it's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
Welcome back to the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum in Fort Wayne, Indiana, as we get ready to figure out who's going to be playing for a national championship. Teams are warming up. You see our broadcast position as well. It's been an exciting environment. We had the All-Star game a little bit earlier. We'll talk about it a little bit later. I'm Dave McHugh, now joined by the head coach of Nebraska Wesleyan, technically the defending national champions, for another 60 minutes of basketball out of Nebraska Wesleyan. Dale Wellman joins us. And, Coach, first and foremost, thanks for taking the time. Nice to see Garver in the All-Star game. I know that's one of the big reasons you are here, but you guys, your season came to a little bit of a sudden stop in round number 2. How have you guys reacted to that unfortunate ending for you guys?
Well, you know, I've had a couple weeks to think about it, and you know, what I wanted to tell everyone, you know, on our team and people around campus was let it not be lost what we were able to accomplish in the loss that day. There's no shame in losing to St. Thomas. Obviously, a very, very good basketball team. But to be able to go out and have a season 27-2 and you know, win our conference tournament and all the adversity we had with all the injuries this year, I couldn't be prouder with you know, the way our guys carried themselves and the season that we had. Obviously, we'd love to play some more games. Yeah. You know, I think 63 of these 64 teams would probably like to have
come out with another win
or two.
Yeah.
So you know, I think it also allowed our teams, you know, the majority of the guys on our team, you know, were here in the Final Four last year, and I think it helped them appreciate what we were able to do last year a little bit more when you realize that you can't have a bad half and you have to go out and you have to play 40 minutes of basketball every single night. And you probably have to get lucky. You know, we had an overtime win and a last-second shot, you know, that fell against Platteville last year. So, you know, I think it allowed us to appreciate what happened last year a little bit too.
I feel like you had very interesting seasons. Last year, a little bit under the radar. Obviously not a top 25 team when you entered the tournament, though getting some love. A lot of people not sure what to make of the squad, and you guys showed a lot, made it all the way to the championship game, and beat this very similar Oshkosh team in that title game. This year, spotlight all on you the entire season. All but 1 week, you were the #1 ranked team in the country. Now everybody's gunning for you. The secret's out, as it were. Right. What was it like? What was the difference in that scope? What was the difference like?
Well, I think our guys, you know, last year we used it as a chip on our shoulder. You know, even though we've been around Division III basketball since the founding of Division III, right. People didn't really know about us because we had that dual affiliation with the NAIA for a while. So we went under the radar, and we used that as motivation and a chip on our shoulder last year. Obviously, this year we didn't have that to kind of fuel our fire a little bit. But we just talked about how we have competitive guys. And I think you see it with a guy like Garver who played in the All-Star game today who, you know, if you're good, you want to have challenges. And we embrace the challenge of, you know, having the pressure of being #1 and everyone gunning for us and getting everybody's best game. We went about our business day to day, you know, the same as we did last year. You know, nothing was different. We really didn't talk about the #1 ranking at all. You know, the week we lost to Loris and lost the #1 ranking, it wasn't anything that we talked about. When we got it back, it wasn't, oh, yes, we have it back. You know, we just went about our business, focusing, you know, obviously on winning the regular season in the American Rivers Conference. And, you know, we wanted to get the automatic bid. You know, we wanted to win the conference tournament. It was at our place. And then we talked about, you know, the postseason. We were able to get a win and and ran up against just a tough St. Thomas team. Yeah. So I think our guys, even though we lost in the second round, I think they handled the pressure really well. And we put together a tremendous season. So I really, and that's why I'm proud of our guys. They really handled themselves well all season.
So you've seen this Oshkosh team, I think.
Yeah.
A little bit. Last year, obviously, the same team was here when you guys beat them in the national championship. You've seen Swarthmore now having been here. What do you make of this game we're about to face? What did you make of the semifinals last night?
Well, I never even watched a Swarthmore game until last night. Well, last night was the first time I saw them, just not necessarily on my radar. Not because they're not a good team, just on the wrong side of the country. But obviously playing Oshkosh last year, and I was able to watch them a few times, sitting on the bus and at home, and this year, just because I was familiar with them. And I think Oshkosh is really good. I mean, they're both really good basketball teams. I think it's a coin toss. I just like the way that Oshkosh, I think they're just balanced. Boots is a great point guard, great shooter, runs a team, does a good job. Fravert, or however you say his name.
Favorite, yeah.
Favorite. Oh, I love that kid. I mean, if you see our team and we have a bunch of tall, long guys,
True.
Get that guy in the 3-2 zone. Like, that's my type of guy. That guy's really good.
Yeah.
Really good. He had a good game last night. And then Flynn in the middle. And then they just have a lot of guys that complement them just really well, just solid across the board. Didn't really know what to make of Swarthmore, and I thought they came out last night and jumped out, got a nice lead, and the stage wasn't too big for them. I think that's the key thing. They haven't been here before, they haven't played in a Final Four, and then where Oshkosh had, but they came out and I just thought played a really good basketball game, even when Christopher Newport fought back, like they kept it and extended it and finished well, and I was just really impressed.
So Oshkosh has 4 guys in double figures. Really, they had 5 last night. They've got a weapon inside, though I think Swarthmore is going to be able to at least match with that. But how do you isolate, or how do you approach a team that's got that many scoring options? Is it you throw a zone at them and hope you can slow them down? Do you throw a man and hope you got the right matchups? What would you be doing, or what did you do last year that helped kind of maybe stymie the Titans?
Well, if you know anything about our program, I mean, what I would do is I would throw a 3-2 zone out against
exactly.
Because that's what we do against everybody. But I know that's not what most coaches do. So I think it's tough. I think, you get to this place, we were at a coaching clinic today, and they were talking about, make sure that you do you
right.
kind of coach yourself.
Right.
And I think you do what has got you here. You do what you're comfortable with. You don't switch up too much, from your game plans or what you've done in the past. I'm sure Swarthmore's played other teams that have had numerous weapons. Well, what'd you do against them? How'd you have success against those guys? And do it again against Oshkosh. I think that's what they have to do.
If you're going up against Swarthmore, they seem to have the prototypical every part. So they've got the big guy inside. They got a really complimentary guy on the 4 with guys who can sub into the same spots. They've got the shooters outside, and then got a guard who can either slash and dive and dish, put it up, or he's going to shoot from outside too. He's got a lot of different options. I know you like the 3-2. Is that a successful strategy against them too, or do you have to augment?
Well, I mean, I'm very biased. I'm very selfish, and yes, I love the 3-2.
You love the 3-2. I
know. Since we switched to the 3-2, I think we're 40-2. So, so it's been good. It's hard for me to talk bad about it. But I understand that not everyone. I don't know how much either of these teams have a zone in their pocket too to throw out against another team.
Swarthmore does.
Yeah. So
we haven't seen it, but it's there.
Yeah, and I know there's not a lot of zone in the WIAC,
right.
Yeah, so there's not a lot of zone there, and last year when we played them, I thought that was something positive for us, was that WIAC teams just don't typically see a lot of zone.
Yeah.
And if they do see a zone, a lot of times it's not a 3-2. But no, I think both teams are just really. They do have all the pieces. Like you were saying that about Swarthmore. I know Oshkosh a little bit more, and I think Oshkosh has all those pieces.
Absolutely.
So I think it's going to be a great game. And I'm so happy that I can be in this spot where it doesn't matter who wins or loses. Like, it's this weekend has been unbelievably unstressful for me. So whereas last year was a little bit different.
Ryan Garver in that All-Star game. What'd you think of the All-Star game idea? And Ryan did pretty well.
He did well. Garver's an unbelievable basketball player. He is the jack of all trades. I mean, he technically plays 5-man for us, even though he's the shortest starter.
Yeah.
And at 5-man, he leads the country in assists, and then he's 5th in steals.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, I don't know if his game translates to an All-Star game because he doesn't play above the rim.
Yeah.
But I thought he went out there and played really well.
Yeah.
Had a few assists. I think it was 4 or 6 from the field.
Yeah.
and I think he just had fun. I think that's what he came out here to do, and he was excited to be here, and it was nice to kind of watch him play his final moments here.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much. I always give the guests the final word. Anything you want to tell anybody about the game we're about to see?
Well, I'll say this. Last year when I talked after the game, I said, hey, I was really excited to see what Fort Worth had in store.
Yeah.
I mean, Fort Wayne.
It's all right. There's a lot of forts in the country.
Yeah, no, Fort Wayne had in store because I really like Salem. And obviously it's from a different perspective this year as more of kind of a fan and a coach of an all-star rather than a coach in the game. But I really liked it. I like this facility. The town, the hotels, everythelling's been great. It's been a really nice first experience here in Fort Wayne.
There you go. Oh, well said. Thanks for taking the time to join us. I really appreciate it. He's Dale Wellman. I almost did something different with your last name. Joining us here on the Hoopsville Courtside pregame show. When we come back, Brendan Gulick joins me, and quickly and ahead, I should say, we announce the All-America team. You're watching the Hoopsville Courtside pregame show ahead of the National Championship for 2019. Back with more after this.
College basketball lives in Kansas City at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center. The College Basketball Experience is the place to get your game on. It's not a museum, it's an experience you won't forget. Discover the history of the game in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, featuring the Gallery of Honor, Mentor's Circle, and Honor Theater. Suit up in the latest CBE logoed Nike gear at the CBE Hoop Shop. Elevate your game today and visit the house that college basketball built.
I learned a lot of valuable lessons playing college football. I never thought about the health benefits of exercise until I actually started to talk to coaches in college. It's not only just for performance, it's for life. My coaches instilled the importance of well-being, not only building up strength, mental health, getting enough sleep, eating properly is all what it is to be healthy. I decided that I want to go into personal trainer and share my knowledge that I obtained in college about physical and mental well-being.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. That's what you have here tonight. That's what you've earned here tonight. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
Big shots. Big dunks. This trophy is not given. It must be earned. The 2019 NCAA Division III Men's Basketball Championship, March 15th and 16th at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum Arena in Fort Wayne.
With his third triple.
Visit ncaa.com/tickets and secure your seats today.
We are back, looking live as Brendan and I got to do this better than this. Hold on. We're taking a selfie while you're looking at the beauty of the studio, or the, there we go. I look like horrible things. You are watching us live here as we take selfies on the set. We're getting ready to go.
You're not taking a selfie on the set? What are you doing? It's
I don't know.
Championship game,
seriously,
man.
you got a good point. So he and I will not be calling the championship game. First time, I think, in 15 years I have been on a championship call. I realized this morning. A little bit weird.
That?
I don't mind. It's okay. I'm going to enjoy the game. But
that's right.
Hey, a little bit of time. You and I got to call the semifinals yesterday, and we had a fun call in the All-Star game.
No doubt.
What do you think is going to happen tonight? I mean, really, you and I have been kind of lost for words the last 24 hours.
Wisconsin-Oshkosh yesterday played perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I don't think they could have done anything better. And I have a lot of confidence in Swarthmore. I was really, really impressed by them. But if Oshkosh plays today like they did yesterday, I don't know who can stop them because of their balance and depth. Flynn in the post is a matchup nightmare, but maybe Odell and Schaefer are the two guys that can slow him down. Boots was unbelievable. Fravert was unbelievable. Wicho really shined nicely yesterday. Duax played great. I mean, it's an Oshkosh team that has a lot of pieces, and you just get the vibe that, you know what, they are back here. This is exactly where they wanted to be last year. They know what it takes. They know what it felt like last year when they came up a little bit short. Swarthmore, by no means,
by the way,
is this a walkover game, but like Swarthmore has never been here. They've never had a team here ever. It does have a little bit of the feeling to me of Swarthmore can give them a really good game, but I think Oshkosh is a favorite.
So if you're Swarthmore, you throw some wrinkles at Oshkosh?
Have
or
to.
What do you throw at them?
Oh,
I know they got a couple zones in their pockets.
You got to find a way to get Flynn uncomfortable early.
Agreed.
Maybe pick up a foul, first few minutes of the game, because Odell and Schaefer clearly showed, not just yesterday, but throughout the course of the year, they can be legitimate low-post players. I don't know if they're going to come up with big block shots against a guy who's an All-American in the discus and looked like an All-American in the paint yesterday on the basketball floor.
He shot a few times like it was shot put, too.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. No, I don't know, man. I think Swarthmore has to try to be creative. I think they're capable of doing it for sure. This is not a write it in stone, Oshkosh is going to win the game by any stretch, but I was wildly impressed by what Oshkosh did yesterday in their semi.
Last weekend, indoor track and field for Division III. This weekend, men's basketball for Division III. Next week, you're doing swimming and diving for Division III. What'd you think of the first men's basketball experience you've had? Because he's called the women's championships the last couple of years.
Yeah, it was awesome. This is everything I could have hoped that the D3 men's tournament was going to be. I thought Fort Wayne was a great host city. I thought this was a great venue. The team hotels were awesome. We had a chance to see those. To be in town and truly to see some of the stuff that Visit Fort Wayne, their visitors bureau, put together. This felt like a championship city. It's a smaller level than what Division I puts out, but you could feel the energy around it, and I was really pretty impressed. So
you're
this was a lot of fun.
You're not calling the game, putting you on the spot. Come on, you're not calling this one. Unless we get tagged in by CBS at the last minute.
I doubt that's going to happen.
Really? Okay.
I'm going to say, do you want a score or just a winner?
Just a winner.
I got to go with Oshkosh.
Okay.
I think Flynn is too good, and even when he's not scoring, he makes you pay attention inside, and they've got guys on the outside. Frabert's a cheat code. He's 6'8", he dribbles like a point guard, and he shoots like Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
Come on, what is this kid doing here?
Well, he's in Indiana. How appropriate, right?
He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I hope Swarthmore plays a great game. I expect them to. They're a good, scrappy team. If you're asking me to pick, I think it's Oshkosh.
I am asking you. I appreciate you going out on a limb there for me. I really
Happy to do it.
Quick thought on the All-Star game? Did you enjoy that?
That was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
It was an odyssey. It's pretty much what I expected. Guys out there having a good time. We saw a great alley-oop. I don't know what Matt Jamard from MIT was doing.
I don't know what
getting
Jamard
in
was
the
doing.
picture. That was a bad idea to be in the poster.
We're going to get that picture and post it everywhere.
Cam Fales from Hanover played well. Ryan Bruns from Ohio Northern played well. Nolan Ebel played really well. We saw some really cool guys that we follow all year long, but now get to see in person, and they were all having a good time. It was really
fun
cool.
to come full circle with you, sir.
Absolutely.
The semifinals.
Enjoyed
I appreciate it. He is Brendan Gulick joining me here. We'll be back. The D3Hoops.com All-America team is announced when we come back. You're listening to the Hoopsville Courtside pregame show. Back with more in a moment.
Football has taught me a lot throughout my life. It's definitely had a huge imprint on who I am as a person. Competing at a Division III level created that opportunity for me to go to college. Not only was I the first one in my family to graduate college, but I was really the first one to even go. Being the first one, I'm breaking that cycle, and now that I've graduated, I'm not sure what's the next step, but I know I have a lot of doors open. And a lot of those are open because I played football and ran track here at Otterbein.
My name is Marcus Walker. I was All-State, won a state championship, a high school All-American, and played college and pro ball. I played because I love the game. I grind to be the best. I sweat because I put in work. I'm strong because I believe. When I want to bring it before game time, I come to the house that college basketball built, the CBE. No matter your skill, take it to another level. Elevate your game right here at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center.
Being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball, or it's not just about school. It's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
welcome back to Fort Wayne, Indiana. The time has come. Back in November 8th, the season tipped off in 2018-19. It was all destined to end here or on the women's side at Roanoke College in Salem, Virginia. 430 some odd schools with teams of about 15 each have a lot of players to talk about. Who were the best in the country? We told you who were the best in the regions, but it's time to announce who, according to us at D3Hoops.com, we're the best in the country. I'm now rejoined once again by Pat Coleman, Bob Quillman, Ryan Scott. I am Dave McHugh. It's time to announce the D3Hoops.com annual preseason All-America list. Some of these guys will be on the preseason list when it comes out tomorrow. We're going to go through these a little bit quickly because we're a little tight on time, but also because we could talk about these guys for hours.
I just want to say, you said the preseason list would come out tomorrow.
It won't.
Yeah, that's true. We could do the really too soon to be preseason tomorrow if we need to.
That's been done by
I'll do the, they do it often. I'll do it tomorrow on the ride home. How's that sound? I'll dictate it.
Sounds good.
So we'll start with the honorable mentions.
All right. Honorable mention, D3Hoops.com All-America for 2019 men's basketball. We start with a senior guard from Scranton, Pennsylvania. He plays for Williams. His name is Bobby Casey. He'll be joined in the backcourt by a senior from Bloomington, Illinois. Plays in Bloomington, Illinois for Illinois Wesleyan, and it is Brady Rose. Whitworth's Ben College, a junior from Portland, Oregon, is a guard on the honorable mention team as well. And Marcus Carter, a guard for Christopher Newport, a senior from Williamsburg, Virginia, guard on the honorable mention team. And also on the honorable mention team, a junior forward from Plainfield, New Jersey. For New Jersey City, it's Sam Toney.
Quick, guys, thoughts on this team?
Well, it's funny. You look at all these teams, and they're absolutely loaded. And, you look at Ben College stands out to me, right? You look at the pure talent level of these guys that we're talking about here. We saw Marcus Carter yesterday. Just an amazing collection of guys here, and we're talking about the honorable mention group.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one. It's the last one, right? So we struggle with who's on and who's off. It's the hardest thing we do. We have 90% of our discussions about this, and these guys are certainly all worthy, and there are a number of others who are probably also worthy that just didn't quite make it this year.
We could have an honorable mention team that's 20 deep. The guy that jumps out at me, Sam Toney, really good team. Team didn't really have the season I think they were expecting. He'll be back as a junior. The other one that jumps out at me, as you mentioned, was Ben College. He sometimes, I think, for Whitworth ended up being the guy who was the unsung hero. He'd hit some big shots late that would get them wins or get him back into games.
Well, now he's been sung. I have one thing to say about honorable mention All-Americans. They're All-Americans. We count honorable mention All-Americans as All-Americans, Sports Information Directors.
Anybody see the soapbox? There it is.
All right.
If they're on the list, they're an All-American. That's how it works.
They count. And we only name 5. We do not name 20.
Some group name everybody who's possibly eligible. On to the fourth team, and it's got 3 guards, a forward, and a center.
And we start with Ryan DeCanio. He's a senior for Loris out of Bartlett, Illinois. Also in the backcourt, Cam Fales, a senior for Hanover out of Cincinnati, Ohio.
Happy birthday, Cam.
That's tomorrow. Kana Gilmore, the junior out of Hamilton from New Paltz, New York. You can't throw me off. And then Bradley Jamard. I had to say it in French for some reason, but he is from Paris, France. He plays for MIT as a forward. And Jack Flynn from UW Oshkosh cemented his place on this team last night. He's a junior from Appleton, Wisconsin.
We saw a few of these guys here in the building, right? So Jack Flynn is warming up right behind us. We just saw Cam from Hanover play in the All-Star game. So many of these guys we see coming through Fort Wayne here.
Yeah, and you've got someone like Bradley Jomard who was the player of the year in the NUMAC, a really strong conference, especially for individual talent. Yeah. And Cam Fales was our regional player of the year for the Great Lakes. Some people might have said, where did he come from? But he's on this Hanover team that graduated 4 starters last year, and he had to take a lot of weight this season. Maybe not quite the season he had last year, but he was doing a lot more for that team and got him back to the tournament.
Got him third straight championship in the conference. That hasn't been done, I think, ever.
Got him back to the tournament where they got Aston in the first round. Yes.
And by the way, Bradley Jomard almost removed himself from this list when he tried to go mano-a-mano with Bruns on an alley-oop. I don't know what the man was thinking. He clearly needs to go back and study some more.
Bruns, I don't know what that name is.
Yeah,
we'll come back to that.
We'll come back to that. Third team now, it's 3 guards and 2 forwards.
And we'll start in the backcourt with a senior out of Atlanta, Georgia. It is Cam Wiley for Swarthmore. Daniel Rosenbaum, a senior from Los Altos Hills, California, for Pomona Pitzer. Also in the backcourt, a junior from Northampton, Massachusetts, Jake Ross from Springfield. In the front court, we've got a junior out of Schenectady, New York, Zach Odell of Swarthmore, and Will Carius, a junior out of Bettendorf, Iowa. He plays for Monmouth.
Guys, your thoughts on these on this team?
You got some really talented guys on this team. Someone like Jake Ross, also Will Carius. You look at some real strong individual talent. Maybe the team success wasn't where it has been in the past, but those are guys, especially both underclassmen, that we'll be looking at next year as well.
It also tells you how deep the talent level is in Division III when we're talking about. I mean, if you've ever seen Will Carius play from Monmouth and Daniel Rosenbaum from Pomona Pitzer.
Yeah.
So these guys, just to call out two of them, the third team here, just so incredibly deep with talent.
Yeah, two Swarthmore kids here. Zach Odell has been rising and ever rising in our estimation over the course of the past couple of months, and he ended up on the third team.
Yeah, Odell is a yin to Cam Wiley's yang. The two of them play off each other so well, but he also has other teammates. I think Odell has shown last night just how good he is. And really quickly, Jake Ross had a rough season. He got an injury early in the season. He rushed back, I would argue. It wasn't himself. The team wasn't themselves, but he still showed just how good he is. Nearly got this team back to the NCAA tournament.
Right, they had to win something like their last 4 conference games just to make the conference tournament, and he single-handedly got them that far.
Yeah. So the second team, 3 guards, 2 a forward and a center.
Start in the backcourt with Nolan Ebel, a senior out of Denver, Colorado. Of course, he plays for Augustana. Booker Copeland, a junior out of Shakopee, Minnesota, plays for Augsburg. Marcos Echeverria, a senior out of Lynn, Massachusetts, for Nichols. The forward, Connor Raridan, a junior out of Plainfield, Illinois. Yeah, he's a junior because he has a year of eligibility left. He plays for North Central. And, yeah, Ryan Brunn's name got mentioned a few minutes ago. He got mentioned a lot in the All-Star game, but this was already printed before that. He's a second-teamer out of Chickasaw, Ohio.
A couple guys here that I'm familiar with from the CCIW. Nolan Ebel has started on 3 consecutive CCIW championship teams. He's led his team deep in the tournament many times. And Connor Raridan, maybe the best player that the nation doesn't know quite well enough yet. But if you look at his stats, his ability to score it, rebound, and pass the ball, he is a complete player and will be a load next year for the Cardinals.
We got Marcos Echeverria, finished his career with 479 made threes, so you can do some division there and figure out how many that is per game. It's a lot. Third all-time. You also have Ryan Bruns we had here. His team really struggled this season, but we saw in the All-Star game just a huge guy, really skilled down low. He also hit 4 or 5 three-pointers in the game. He's just an individual talent that is unreal.
He's got the perfect game for Europe. He's hoping to play in Europe. We're looking forward to seeing that. Connor Raridan is, I think, going to do to the CCIW what Marcus Carter did to the CAC, tick everybody off to realize he's still got another year of eligibility left should he choose to use it. Ebel was fun to watch, but Copeland, I want to point out him. Quick trigger, got a great little shot. He played extremely well for Augsburg, especially late in the season. I'm really looking forward to what he can do. And he is challenging, if not breaking, records set by a pretty good Augsburg alum who had kind of a career in the NBA. When you can do that and be on par with Devin George, that's saying something.
I saw Booker Copeland play in person a couple of times. One time he was on the bench for like 12 minutes with foul trouble against St. Thomas, and then he came out and like in the final 6 minutes of that game just was relentless, took that game over, hit the shot at the end that they needed. He's an impressive player.
And he's also a junior, so we'll get to see him for a whole other year.
By the way,
he was on the all-defensive team for the conference as well, so not
2
just
years in a row, I think, if memory serves. But yeah, that's a heck of a 5-some that I would love. But the first team is definitely probably the best squad. Obviously, it's the best squad, but this is a team I would die to see on the floor at the same time.
Well, we'll start. Let's see. I don't know what order to put these in.
Good luck. You good luck, sir. Good luck.
All right. Well, we're going to start with Ben Boots. He is a senior guard out of Kimberly, Wisconsin. He plays for UW-Oshkosh. Not for Bob.
Not for me.
No. Not for Bob.
But
We're
he's
right back
shoulders.
there somewhere. Right. Ty Nichols, who was here in the All-Star game, he is a senior for Keene State out of Springfield, Massachusetts. He's at a forward spot. Ryan Garver at a forward spot as well, out of Nebraska Wesleyan, a senior from Lincoln, Nebraska. Helped lead his team, of course, to the national title last year. Aston Francis, that guy. He was okay.
I've heard he's all right.
Yeah.
33.9 points a game or something like that.
Guard out of Tyler, Texas, plays for Wheaton. And then the final guy on the team is forward Austin Butler for Whitman out of Los Angeles, California.
The dark horse dunker finalist from Division III. We're hoping he gets in. Guys, this is a heck of a 5-some.
The guy, we're going to talk about all these guys, but Ben Boots jumps out because you can't just look at numbers. Ben Boots averages 15 points a game. You don't have to average 20-plus a game to be a first-team All-American. What Ben Boots does to win big basketball games is amazing. He is tough, strong player, And boy, would you like to have Ben Boots on your team.
And when we talk about guys who are not just scorers, Austin Butler had his highest scoring year, I think, of his career with about 11 points per game this year, but he leads the conference of the Northwest Conference.
And everything else.
6 or 7 categories. One of the best defensive players I've ever seen, a real athlete. Glad we were able to get him onto this team this year.
We're going to take a quick break as they're playing the national anthem just a little bit early. So we'll go to the wide shot of that and give us a chance.
We've got Player of the Year and Rookie of the Year coming up after the break, though.
Good tease.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous sky, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets recognize the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Our national anthem, a little bit of a different timing sequence here that we've had to get used to in Fort Wayne.
And we still have like 12.5 minutes before they even start lineups, right?
Just a wee bit different, but we continue to talk about this first team. Again, Aston Francis out of Wheaton, Ben Boots out of Oshkosh, Austin Butler out of Whitman, Ryan Garver out of Nebraska Wesleyan, and Ty Nichols out of Keene State, your first team, D3Hoops.com All-America guys. And what jumps out at me is, we talk about Francis and his scoring ability. You talk about Boots and his scoring ability. Butler with 11 points a game, sure. Ryan Garver and Nichols, but they also all played great defense. These guys were not guys who just played on one side of the floor.
Right. Ryan Garver, the ARC Defensive Player of the Year. These are even Aston Francis is not just a guy who plays on the offensive half of the floor.
He averaged 7.1 rebounds a game to lead his team.
Yeah, it was a great rebounding season for Aston Francis. And we talked about Boots. We talked about these guys.
You got someone like Ty Nichols too that the rest of the country might not know. Keene State's not a super high-profile
But Ryan
program.
knows very, very well.
He's been on the team of the week about every other week this season. He puts up incredible numbers. He's a forward. He's their primary ball handler, but his assist numbers, rebound numbers, I mean, he can go 30, 10, and 8, most any night. And we saw in the All-Star game, he really took control towards the end of that game when they were trying to come back.
And Butler's on the front end of that full-court defense for Whitman. He got his plenty of steals. He couldn't get some tonight. He was trying his darndest. He couldn't get as many as he wanted, but that's the other part of his game that makes him so dangerous.
The other common thread that, if you talk to all these coaches, and we've talked to a lot of them, most of them, these guys, they weren't final finished products when they showed up at campus. You think of Aston Francis as a sophomore when he came to Wheaton and where he is now. Boy, there's a huge difference there, especially on the defensive end of the floor. He really struggled there for a year, and he became a guy that could go out and guard people really well. All 5 of these guys on the first team have a story of their progress and how hard they worked.
And someone like Ryan Garver, they won the national title last year, and he was sort of the third or fourth name that you would hear based on how the Final Four went. But he's certainly the core of that defense and really their primary distributor as well. He had a lot of assists this year.
There's 2 major awards that were announced out of the 3 that are available. Of course, that means Rookie and Player of the Year. And let's start with the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, the Rookie of the Year, and a Rookie of the Year for us is a true freshman. a freshman who has not played before. I guess there's our
That's a better way of saying it.
Injured freshmen, but not people who transferred in. Some conferences, the Rookie of the Year could be a transfer. For us, it is always a freshman, and it is Anders Nelson of the University of St. Thomas, a guy who we saw burst onto the scene pretty early on and really helped them get back into the national picture.
I mean, this is a guy who as a true freshman running the point for what is usually a really experienced team at St. Thomas. He led them in points, rebounds, and assists for the season as a freshman and led them to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, got them past the defending champs in Nebraska Wesleyan.
And he's a reason, we didn't have St. Thomas on the radar for a little bit this season. It took us a while because I believe they lost their opener, right? And it was like, wow, they're going to be back in 2 years or something. Then all of a sudden we start seeing all these wins. Well, Anders Nelson is a big reason for their emergence to where they ended up this season, which is having a tremendous campaign.
Absolutely. It was fun to watch. And to have John Tower say, you got the ball, you're running things as a freshman. We all know John Tower, great coach, but he gets guys who are experienced to put in that role. He didn't. He put it in a freshman's hand. That says a lot.
It's only the second time ever they've had a freshman point guard at St. Thomas, so that's pretty high praise.
Freshman out of Edina, Minnesota. I should have mentioned the hometown.
Yeah, and so I think our player of the year might surprise some people, right? Or not?
Only surprise the Central Region voters of the NABC when we say
shots fired.
We've chosen Aston Francis.
Everybody find out where that came from.
Of Wheaton College as our player of the year, because how can you not?
Yeah, what a amazing season Francis had. He was great last year, and he was great as a sophomore. This year, about halfway through the season, he kind of flipped the switch and took it to a whole nother level.
Well, he was already playing well, and he flipped the switch.
He was already scoring about 26 a game. Yeah. And then he started having 40-point outings. He had the big 62 and 12. I think this would be as talented as this group is. This was a pretty big no-brainer at the end of the day here because it's just what he has done this season.
It didn't hurt that he scored 62 against Marietta in the round of 8, but what I found interesting about him is we talked about the defense, we've talked all about that, but his teammates wanted to play with him. His teammates found him to be unselfish despite those points that he's putting up. But also, I had said all season, as goes Francis, so does Wheaton. And that wasn't a knock. It was to show just how good Wheaton was this season because he was so good this season.
Aston Francis was almost a shoo-in before the tournament started.
Yeah,
we did not expect a lot out of Wheaton.
Might have been a discussion.
We did not expect a lot out of Wheaton, and then he led them to the Final Four. He scored 224 points in 5 games. He beat the previous tournament record by 47.
Yeah. He didn't have a great game in the semifinal because he was 5 of 20 from outside, but he still put up 44 points.
And to his credit, big thing is what you said, Dave, is a lot of guys would have trouble taking as many shots as he does in terms of their teammates.
Right.
His teammates love him, respect him, they want to get him the ball, and I think that speaks to his character as a player and a teammate, that he can take all those shots and everyone just be cool with it.
And furthermore, again, leads the team in rebounding. We saw it last night. He would slash to the lane, grab a rebound over the tallest guy on the darn floor, and you'd see that guy, Flynn, looking around like, wait, what?
Well, and the hardest worker anybody's ever seen.
Oh,
I said, we checked into the hotel this week. He was in the weight room. We got back to the hotel after they lost last night. He was in the weight room at the hotel last night. I mean, he just wants to get better, and he improved so much from already being an All-American player last year to just an incredible height this year.
Shout out to Ty Nichols, by the way. There's a little fun on Twitter about getting Aston Francis on the TBT Division III team. Yeah. And Ty Nichols like, there's not enough shots to go around.
I thought that was Ty Saban.
Oh, Saban. I'm sorry, Ty Saban.
But
yeah,
still
wrong guy.
But still a great thing. So that is on the website, by the way. You can see the full team at d3hoops.com. Coach of the Year, we will announce it after the game. I think 2 of the candidates are coaching tonight, I think.
Yeah, and real quick, a lot of good coaches out there this season. I don't mean good coaches. Let me say a bad way of saying it. A lot of coaches who did great things with their programs this year.
Yeah, check out our all-region teams. We have an all-region coach in every region, and there's great stories with each one of them. So head on to the website and look at that.
So can I get one thing in here too? So the women's All-America team is on the front page as well. I'm just going to spotlight the first teamers right here before we go. Well, and the player of the year, Madison Temple out of Thomas More, as much an obvious choice as Aston Francis. Brandy Dawson of Trine, Abby Kelly of Bowdoin, also in the backcourt, Hannah Frazier of Wheaton, Illinois in the front court, along with Hannah Spalding of the University of St. Thomas.
Did they announce the big awards too?
They did. So Madison Temple, the player of the year, Gabby Timmer, the rookie of the year out of Calvin, and Jeff Hans, the head coach for Thomas More, no matter whether they win or not tonight.
Yeah, great choices across the board on the women's side. Gentlemen, let's quickly shift gears. We got about 3.5 minutes till the horn sounds. They start doing national anthem, or not national anthem, but starting lineups, and we kill the lights. Your keys to the game, Bob?
I think for Oshkosh, it's the ability to guard that little elbow action that Swarthmore runs with their versatile bigs. Oshkosh is big. They're not as mobile as Swarthmore. And so for me, that's the key, is how does Oshkosh stop that action that's so difficult to guard?
Ryan?
Yeah, it's going to be the way Swarthmore guards the big, long wings that Oshkosh has, and then as long as Schaefer and Odell stay out of foul trouble. That's something they've had issues with this year.
Great.
There is not much of a bench down low for Swarthmore, so they got to really play well and careful.
Does anybody want to go on a limb and try and predict how this one finishes?
I think it finishes with the buzzer going off and
confetti
coming out. Oh,
I think
hope
it'll be
confetti come out.
pyrotechnics, actually.
I've been saying I think there's a lot more ways that Oshkosh can win this game.
Okay.
I think Swarthmore, a lot more things have to go right for Swarthmore, but it's anybody's game.
Completely agree. I think that Oshkosh, I think, is a little bit of a favorite. I think they just have a little more balance and more ways they can beat you. But look, to me, if there's a line here, it's 2 or 3. This is a very, very tight ball game. These are evenly matched teams.
And I think Oshkosh knows what it feels like to lose this game, which is definitely motivation when it gets to this point.
If Oshkosh were to win this, it'll be the first time since 1976-77 that the previous season's runner-up would go on to win the championship in men's basketball in Division III, Wittenberg being that team. That would be pretty impressive. If Swarthmore is to win this, it'll be the first Centennial team to win it, despite 3 teams who had, quote-unquote, a chance at it. Franklin and Marshall in 91 actually being in the game, obviously, Ursinus losing in the semifinals.
And the first would be the first Mid-Atlantic team since 2001.
Who won it in 2001?
Who was that? Who was that?
Oh, that's the team that lost to my alma mater twice that season. That's right. That's my only guy. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Where's your banner?
That's all I got. My banner's
Folks,
in the,
if you don't
the
have
Landmark
the website,
Conference.
it's Catholic.
Catholic University won the 2001 title,
alma mater.
76-62 over William Patterson.
So a fun season. We will wrap it up the game afterward here on Courtside, so tune in then. In the meantime, we'll be tweeting up a storm about the game. And again, the awards are online.
And you can get the link to follow the CBS Sports Network stream on the D3Hoops.com homepage. We'll also tweet that out if you're watching it. Or when you refresh this page in a couple of minutes, it'll be there as well.
Yeah, let's reiterate. The game is being streamed live. It will air on CBS Sports Network later tonight, delayed. It will stream live, though. And by the way, two D3 guys on the call for CBS Sports. I kind of like the fact that we get a little D3 flavor in this one. You know, I love Mo, but he's got a partner now.
Yeah, I love it. John Sadak, Rowan alum, WGLS radio alum, is calling play-by-play, and Mo Casera, the former head coach at Clark, is on color.
Yeah. Guys, appreciate the time you guys joined us. Congratulations to all the awardees. Looking forward to what could be an outstanding national championship. You can tune in, as he said. We'll have the link for you. The horn is sounded. We are tuned out. We'll be back with the champions after this. Division III championship tips off soon between Swarthmore and UW Oshkosh. Hope you enjoy it like we will.